please welcome His Worship Matt Siscoe and the 2022 to 2026 members of St. Catharines City Council.
Phil Davis, Ganyga Hage Kuga from Haudenosaunee, the people of Six Nations, and I've been a long-time resident here within Niagara, and was asked to come and share a song for this part of the celebration. So I've asked a couple of my friends to come and help me, and they all volunteered. The song that I chose for this evening is called the AIM song. It's a unity song, and it was born out of a time of resistance back in the 70s. And today we as Indigenous people are still working against resistance that we feel every day. And the reason I chose this song in particular is because as we move forward in truth and reconciliation, allies for us have become very important in the work that we try to do for our own peoples. So with the previous administration with Walter, we had, and I myself had a great relationship in trying to move anything that we needed to move, that we deemed important for ourselves, forward. And so I wanted to share that song and have everybody join me in unity also as a representation of I guess, of an olive branch forward to this administration, so that we all can sit down at a table and talk about peace and what that means for us as we coexist here in Niagara and in Niagara. So now we'll go. Thank you very much.
please welcome Councillor Caleb Ratzlaff to deliver the land acknowledgement.
Hello, my name is Caleb, and it's my honor to give the land acknowledgement this morning. I have it on good authority that land acknowledgements are an opportunity to say something about your own relationship to the land and how it's formed you. So I'm going to read kind of a more typical land acknowledgement, one that we'd be used to hearing at council, and I'm just going to augment it at the end a little bit, and I'll be brief. So, the land on which council meets today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples, many of whom continue to live and work here today. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is within the land protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today this gathering place is home to many First Nations, Métis, Inuit peoples. Acknowledging this as a reminder that our great standard of living is directly related to the resources and friendship of Indigenous people. Growing up, the Niagara Peninsula has been a defining aspect of my childhood, and I think the land on which we live shapes all of us. I've experienced many different religious ceremonies here on the peninsula. My partner and I were married just off Lakeshore Road on the shore of Lake Ontario. I learned from an early age at Port Dalhousie that you get sick if you drink too much lake water. And of course, I've had, as many of you have experienced, the privilege of enjoying the abundance the land produces, right? Peaches, pears, grapes, cherries, they're my favorite. There's a temptation though today, and I think this temptation's been with us for a long time, to be scared that there won't be enough. The fear of scarcity. And this fear drives us to hoard more than we need to survive. And this can often lead, if not always, to the hoarding at the expense of others, not having enough. I think this is something that defines colonialism, continues to define colonialism. Our job as councillors, as a city, as a community, is to push back against this temptation and to live into the truth that the land produces an abundance that is more than enough for all of us. More than enough housing, more than enough water, more than enough cherries. And I think this is something that I think that's at the heart of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement, where the dish represents the land, and the idea is that there's more than enough in the dish for everyone. So it's my hope that every time we hear the land acknowledgement before council, that we remember to live into this truth, and remember to relearn this truth in and through our relationship with Indigenous people. So, yeah, thank you. And I am also supposed to introduce the national anthem, or the Nicoletta Salire, who will be singing our national anthem this evening. Welcome.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all the sun's command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free.
Thank you, Nicolette. Welcome, everyone. You may now be seated. Good evening. My name is Kristen Sullivan, and I am the City Clerk for the City of St. Catharines. It's my honor and pleasure to welcome you this evening to the 140th inaugural meeting of the City of St. Catharines' newly elected council. In many respects, local government is the level of government closest to the people, and the state of democracy in this country as a whole is closely related to the state of democracy at the local level. To our newly elected mayor and councillors, this is a very important role that has been bestowed upon you by the citizens of our fair city. To our guests, thank you for joining us to witness in the official swearing in of your 2022 to 2026 mayor and city council. They are to my right, which is your left. No, still your right. Mayor Matt Siscoe. Councillors Carlos Garcia, Councillor Matt Harris, Councillor Jackie Lindal, Councillor Bruce Williamson, Councillor Don Dodge, Councillor Robin McPherson, Councillor Bill Phillips, Councillor Caleb Ratzlaff, Councillor Joe Kushner, Councillor Kevin Townsend, Councillor Greg Miller, and Councillor Mark Stevens. I will now ask Mayor Matt Siscoe to step up to the podium, and we will do his declaration of office. So, Mayor Siscoe, please repeat after me. I, Matt Siscoe,
I, Matt Siscoe,
having been elected to the office of the mayor
having been elected to the office of the mayor
in the municipality of St. Catharines,
in the municipality of St. Catharines,
do solemnly promise and declare that
do solemnly promise and declare that
I will truly, faithfully, and impartially
I will truly, faithfully, and impartially
exercise this office
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive
I have not received and will not receive
any payment or reward
any payment or reward
or promise thereof
or promise thereof
for the exercise of this office
for the exercise of this office
in a biased, corrupt,
in a biased, corrupt,
or in any improper manner.
or in any improper manner.
I will disclose any pecuniary interest,
I will disclose any pecuniary interest,
direct or indirect,
direct or indirect,
in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act.
I will be faithful
I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to His Majesty King Charles III.
to His Majesty King Charles III.
And I make this solemn promise and declaration,
And I make this solemn promise and declaration,
conscientiously believing it to be true,
conscientiously believing it to be true,
and knowing that it is
and knowing that it is
of the same force and effect
of the same force and effect
as if made under oath.
as if made under oath.
Now, the remaining councillors, please stand. And you're also going to repeat after me. You're going to say I, and then insert your own name. So say I, and then insert your name. Having been elected to the office of Councillor in the municipality of St. Catharines, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and true and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. And I make this solemn promise and declaration, conscientiously believing it to be true, and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath. Thank you. Councillors, you may now take your seats. I'm going to call upon Carl Dockstader, the Executive Director of the Niagara Regional Native Centre.
Siguli swagweg, Tukakeros Nyangats, Wagasklewaga Wagatilota, Anyataga Niwaga Hunjota, Huatsadat Ni, Wakana Heladu, Gainka, Wanislade, Jivanislo, Gali, Wagatsununi, G, Wagatachade. That's Oneida, for my name is Carl. No? The introduction actually fits into the gift that I have for the mayor here. So I'll share that I said Dikakedos Nyangats, that's my name. Sunrise is what they call me. Wagasklewaga Niwagi Talota, Anyataga Niwaga Hunjota. And you could loosely translate to that I'm Bear Clan and that I'm from the Oneida Nation. But what that actually means is Anyataga Niwaga Hunjota. It means that I'm of the earth, of these very lands that we stand upon. When you stand on the back of Yunkinuha Ohunja, our mother, you're standing on a part of me, on a part of my people, on a part of all of us. So I ask you to tread lightly when you're doing that. So while it could translate to Oneida is my nation, it really means that these lands and they're one. What you do to this land, you do to me. You do to my family. You do to my ancestors. You do to all of these leaders that you have on the stage. You do to yourselves, to your families, and to the children that come after you. We're connected as one. So a lot of that gets lost in the translation of the language, but I wanted to share that with you. The other thing I said is Wageskli Niwage Talota. And again, you could translate that to I'm Bear Clan, but it doesn't translate so cleanly because what it actually means is Wageskli. The bear and I are one. And Niwaga Talota, our word for clan, actually has the same root word as clay. And the reason that we do it that way is because in the same way that I'm going to share this gift with your newly elected mayor, this tradition of gift giving has been happening on this territory for our lives, for the lives of those that came before us, and for generations before them, and generations before them, and generations before them. The significance of saying that I'm one and the same with the bear and of the clay, is that just like this clay pot, which I actually brought from our Friendship Center that was crafted by one of our community members in days past, that instead of me saying my name, I could have just brought this pot for my family, and you would have actually known by the type of clay my family's history, our background, our origin, and again, going back to that connection to the land that we have. It's not just a thing to us. It's a part of our family. It's a part of our name. It's a part of our language. And if we do our jobs well, it'll be an important part of our future moving forward. So before I present this gift to the mayor, and thank you for indulging me in the introduction there, I want to share the. I drew a story, and I put it on the inside of the pot, and I'll let Mayor Siscoe read that, but I'm gonna ask you about it when I see you. I'm gonna ask you about that story, and I'm gonna ask you about keeping this clay pot. But what the parts that I'll share, and I won't go through the whole story, but the parts that I will share is that our word for clay is onawachak. And what that means is good mud chips. And I want you to think about that for a second. Think about what comes to your mind in English when you picture mud. You know, kind of a rainy day, kind of a bad day, kind of, you don't want to get the mud on you. And for us, we see that mud as being good and important and a crucial part of everything. And as a matter of fact, there's a little more to it than that. So the reason why I picked this clay pot with this story in it is that there's a time when this would have been crucial to my people, to the Anyata'aga people, one of the many nations that lived here on these territories. And what I was taught is that maybe it was Grandma that was the only one that she knew exactly how many mud chips and how much rock and how much water to put in there. Grandma would have that knowledge. And so she would send the grandkids to go and to fetch the water and to fetch the mud chips and to fetch the clay and to fetch everything else. And then Mom would fashion it with her hands. And then Dad would put the fire to it. And so every single family member would have a responsibility in making this, even the markings that are on here. Each family would have had their different markings on it. And so we would have been doing this for generations, for countless generations, for hundreds, perhaps thousands of years we would have been making these. What came along is then Western peoples came along, and they brought with them the convenience, and they traded with us, and they gave us these copper pots. And so we took the copper pots because we thought they were better. We took them because they were definitely easier. And that's where I think we have to be careful. Because when we took that copper pot, nobody asked Grandma how many mud chips were needed. Nobody asked the grandkids to go and fetch the water for it. Nobody asked Mom to fashion the pot together with her hands. Nobody asked Dad to put that pot in the fire. So with every little piece of convenience that we've taken, with every single teaching that we've been given from Western people, with every single time that we've been told that something is better or easier or an improvement, remember that we've had to leave something behind as a people. And as a matter of fact, this is still important. We still have this clay pot. We still have the ability to move this forward. But I want to ask you to join me on the stage, Mayor Siscoe. And I want to give this to you because it's our tradition that we don't give a gift like a present that you get to have. I'm giving this to you as a responsibility, and I'm asking you to think about this story that I shared and to think that it may not be obvious. If I said to you a mud chip is important and I just walked off the stage, it wouldn't be obvious what I'm saying. But I hope that with the story that I shared and with the story that I made for you to go on the inside of this pot, I hope you understand that this is for sure a gift that I'm giving you, and I'm glad, I'm honored that we have the memorandum of understanding between the Niagara Regional Native Centre and the city of St. Catharines. But I also want you to be mindful that you have the responsibility to our community members who are doing the least. That's our ways, is whichever community member in St. Catharines is struggling the most, that's where we're all supposed to be as a community, as a collective. So until we can do that work together, that work to bring equity to all the people in our community, to help those that are struggling the most, those that are looking for someplace to stay tonight because they don't have a warm bed to go to, like I'll bet everybody in this room does, then our work isn't finished here. So I'll give you this pot, and I want you to think of that and fulfill your responsibilities in a good way. Niauako taneto.
Good evening, distinguished guests, family, friends, and all members of the community, here this evening or watching at home. It is my honor to welcome you to the inaugural meeting for the 2022-2026 Council of the City of St. Catharines. First and foremost, thank you to Carl Dockstader and the Niagara Regional Native Centre for the gift of the clay pot. With the receipt of this gift, we are accepting the responsibility and making the commitment to continue our journey with the Native Centre that began with the efforts of the last council and the Memorandum of Understanding. Our council will look for your guidance as we continue to learn and walk the path for truth and reconciliation. On behalf of St. Catharines City Council, thank you. I would also like to thank our outgoing mayor, Walter Sendzik. I, along with many other members of this council, had the opportunity to work with Walter over his 8 years in office. And during that time, I watched him lead our community through some unprecedented challenges. Throughout his 8 years as mayor, Walter was a steady hand who guided the city and the region on behalf of the people of St. Catharines. And for that, Walter, you have my gratitude. I think it is also important to take a moment to thank all of you. Thank you to the more than 136,000 residents of our city who get up each day and contribute to every facet of our community. Whether you get up and you go to work or to school, to the mosque, to the church, to the synagogue or other place of worship, or make your way to a community group to volunteer, our city is a better place because you are sharing your time, your treasure, and your talent. Some of you are advocates, the people who work day in and day out to try and build a more equitable community for all of us. Your messages continue to get louder and more poignant, and they are messages that we must heed. As the homelessness epidemic and the opioid crisis continue to harm communities across North America, we need you now more than ever to point out the solutions that are being developed and push for those solutions to be implemented here in St. Catharines. Of course, there are the mums and the dads and the caregivers who take care of our kids day in and day out, even when they don't really feel like it. You also volunteer your time to coach the teams, lead the volunteer clubs, the theater groups, and the after-school programs. There are the many seniors in our community who help build us into what we are today. The foundation we are fortunate to have is due to your efforts to help build, and your hard work taught us how to continue on the path that you've charted. Many of you in the audience are part of our valued public service, including city and regional workers who make sure that our water is safe and clean, that our public health is protected, that our streets are safe, and that our emergency services run smoothly. Some are working to ensure our permits are filed and our properties are inspected, that our parks and our fields are maintained, our streets are plowed, and to keep our Zambonis running so we can enjoy our ice rinks. Thank you to all of you. Without your contributions to our community, our job and the job of all of us on the stage would be infinitely harder. I hope you will continue to lend us your time, talent, and treasure so we can move our city forward together. Now that I've mentioned the folks on the stage this evening, I think it's important to acknowledge how we got here. To the tens of thousands of voters who came out on Election Day, your faith in the democratic process is why we are here today. Thank you for putting your trust in us. You have my commitment and the commitment of all of us on the stage to work to earn that trust each and every day. To the returning councillors, thank you for bringing your experience and your knowledge back to the table to serve your community. We are blessed here in St. Catharines to have institutional knowledge that many other communities and councils could only dream of and are envious of. And as a new mayor, I am truly thankful to have you to call on. And lastly, to the new councillors, your ideas and your energy will help to keep our city moving forward. I know full well the excitement to dig into the task at hand, and I look forward to working with you to fulfill the potential you have to give the community. Thank you for putting your name forward and making this contribution to our city. I am blessed to stand here today with all of my colleagues on council and to have the opportunity to follow in the footsteps of those who have come before us. The task in front of us is the same as it has always been, to continue to build the community and to implement the ideas
that shone through during our respective campaigns and gained the support of our residents. We can't waver in our commitment to implement the very vision that our community has entrusted us to deliver on. We must listen to those who are working to build our community. However, we must recognize the era of division we currently live in. There are some amongst us who only try to tear things or people down instead of investing that energy or making the effort to help build up. I hope that those mired in negativity will take this opportunity to start new and to join us in moving this amazing community forward. Ultimately, as mayor and as a council, we can't allow ourselves to be distracted by anger, hate, or the desire to tear down the very things we are trying to build. While this can be challenging at times, we will remain strong, and we will work with the members of the community committed to making this an amazing place to live. This council faces some unique challenges, but also stands ready to deal with long-standing concerns our community has faced and will continue to face as we work towards the future. Ultimately, our goal must be to bring opportunity to our city. We will see through the efforts to rebuild on the sites of the former GM property lands and the old St. Catharines General Hospital site. It is important that we work to heal these scars that remain in our community. While the city can't lead the charge, we must be at the table, ready with help and necessary incentives to support the effort to remediate and rebuild. We also have the responsibility to hold accountable all parties to these projects, both in the private and the public sector, to do right by the community. We will lead the charge at the new Niagara Region Transit Commission to enhance and expand transit service across our city and region. One step forward will be to get young people on the bus with a new next generation transit program, so all high school students across the region are able to access transit service with just their student cards. Many of these young riders will develop into future fare-paying riders on our system, resulting in fewer cars on our roads, which will mean less traffic and less carbon being emitted, all without impacting the revenues on the system. And if we build on that idea, the city will need to adapt and make changes to mitigate the changing climate and its impact on the natural environment. We will continue to enhance and protect the waterfront. We will move to reduce the emissions of our city fleet of vehicles. We will improve the efficiency of city buildings. We will improve the community's infrastructure to make more sustainable choices easier for residents. And we will take the declaration of a climate emergency made by the previous council as a guiding principle in the decisions that we make. All of us on this stage recognize that one of the building blocks of a true community with a good quality of life is being considerate of others. Being neighborly through the everyday acts like shoveling your snow and raking leaves, unplugging drainage grates, and helping out neighbors who are under the weather or have encountered physical disabilities. These are simple things we can all do to make life better for one another. A true community is one where our citizens are actively engaged and the city is listening to and working with grassroots organizations, volunteer clubs, and service groups. Of course, while we move forward on these initiatives, we must always keep our residents and the taxpayers of our community central in our minds. We need to do whatever we can to make life more affordable for residents, whether it's through the creation of a property tax increase deferral program for seniors on low and fixed incomes, or living within the funding we currently collect through property taxes. We have a responsibility to do what is in our power to improve affordability in our city. Residents deserve to know that we are stewarding their dollars responsibly and effectively, and that their financial investment in our city is improving services and expanding our city's capacity to do good. I started my remarks this evening with a number of thank yous, and as I wrap up my remarks, I will finish with a few more. Thank you to my campaign team. Thank you to the friends who indulged me talking about my vision for today, starting a few years ago, and let me take over whole nights of conversation to talk through this dream of mine. Some of you joined our team because you saw the vision we were building and wanted to be a part of helping to build it. To the folks I met along the way who taught me a lot and volunteered their time to a guy they had only just met at their door, thank you for believing in me and my vision. Without the efforts of you, I don't get to be here tonight speaking to our community as our mayor. Thank you to Trevor Harris. I wouldn't be able to put into words what kind of a friend my campaign manager has been to me over the last decade. Here's to the chance to once again fill our conversations with talk about our kids' hockey games and where we're planning the next baseball trip to, as opposed to you talking me down at our nightly 9:30 p.m. calming sessions. To my parents, my mom and dad, Susan and David Siscoe, there aren't enough words to thank you. You raised me to understand the value of service and sacrifice. My mom was a nurse, and there were days, nights, and holidays when she wasn't home. We live now in an era where we better understand the sacrifice that frontline workers make. But as a kid, I learned that early by watching my mom. My dad was in the Navy, and while his job meant we moved around a fair bit, and he was away more than my friends' dads, it gave me experiences I would have never had otherwise. My parents made me into who I am today, the good and the bad, and for that, I owe them everything. Thank you to my kids, to Soph, and to Dee, and to Kanan, and to X. Thank you for sharing me with the city and encouraging me to keep going, even when I'm sure you would have rather just had me home watching football. When I started out in politics, I told people that you were my motivation for doing this. I wanted you to have a hometown where you had opportunity and you could build a life and a home that I was able to. That's still true. That's still why I do this. And I hope I can make you proud while also making sure I'm there for you when you need me. And finally, to my incredible wife, Chrissy, thank you for being you. For being the only person I could have ever imagined spending my life and doing these things with. For encouraging me when I told you this was what I wanted to do, even though we both knew that that would mean more on your plate. Thank you for being the person who will always say, we'll find a way, and who will always listen to me when I say, we'll find a way, when we start to dream big. I love you more than you will ever understand, and you're the only person I want with me by my side on this journey. Thank you again to the people of St. Catharines for bestowing on those of us on this stage the honor of leading our great city. I will leave you with a quote, one that I hope can guide our efforts over the next 4 years and beyond. Margaret Mead once said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, concerned citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." In front of you sits a small group of thoughtful, concerned citizens, elected by a group of thoughtful, concerned citizens. We have so much capacity to change the world around us. I look forward to being a part of and helping to lead that change. Thank you. And before I turn it over to the Strongwater Singers, I will say two things. One, I managed to do that without tears, and I feel really good about myself right now. And two, my wife managed to do that without woo-hooing in the middle of the speech, and I really appreciate that. So with that, I would like now to welcome back to the stage the Strongwater Singers.
I do not need a microphone. No, just kidding. Ani Boju, Kibach Nozman, welcome Kongdun Jaba, Megazay Dona. My name is Sabrina Shauna. I am the co-founder and lead facilitator of the Strongwater Women Singers. We were established in 2015, and I'm very proud to say that as we stand here today, we're an international two-time award-winning drum group. Yep. Woo! Hard to contain the women in the hallway, so I'm sorry if you heard us in our shenanigans but we're very excited to be here today and to share a song with you. We are so thankful that we've grown so much that we now have a division of Strongwater Singers called Strongwater Juniors, And my lovely daughter-in-law, Cheyenne Jenkins, is the leader of Strongwater Juniors, and part of our roles and responsibilities is that she learns to public speak and teach you what the songs are that we're going to sing, and that's what she's going to do right now.
Hello everyone. My name is Cheyenne Jenkins. I'm 24 years old and my family is from Six Nations and we're Cuba Turtle Clan. We're very honored to be asked to sing for you today, and when we were thinking about what song that we could share with you, we wanted to remind you the roles and responsibilities that were given to us when we were put on Mother Earth. In one of our creation stories, when the elements were created, they were told to provide for all else that follows. And they do that today. And so we are going to share with you the honoring element song, and that honors the fire, the water, the land. Okay. What's that arrow?
Air, water, fire,
Water.
Okay. We know it. We're just we're just nervous.
And the reason why we wanted to sing it today is to remind us of our responsibilities. And what was told to us when we were put here was to walk softly on Mother Earth and to treat all the rest of creation with kindness and respect. So it's actually human beings are the only ones that aren't fulfilling all of their roles and responsibilities till this day. So we sing this song to honor all of you for trying to go out and fulfill your roles and responsibilities, but to remember that those are your roles and responsibilities. And so that's why we're going to sing out to the crowd, to all of you. And on the last lead, we're actually going to turn around because we want to honor the councillors and the mayor today as they are going to fulfill their own roles and responsibilities during their years here with us.
Ow!
We also wanted to explain that when we sing, we don't actually, in this song, we don't have non-English words. So we're not saying anything that you won't understand. It's all vocables and chanting. And this allows us to be able to connect person to person, soul to soul. You can feel that connection. And another thing that we like to talk about is if you can understand us without saying any words and without speaking the same language, where residential schools needed. Because you're about to see right now that we're all going to connect person to person, and that can make you feel a certain way, but allow those tears to come out if that's what's needed, because we're here to lift your vibration. And yeah.
Not used to being on this side of the stage.
Hey!
Thank you to the Strongwater Singers. I'd now like to introduce Julie Christiansen from Leverage U to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. To Mayor-elect Matt Siscoe, to all returning and newly elected members of council and members of the community, thank you for welcoming me to share my thoughts with you tonight. I'd like to start by asking a question. Whether you're a seasoned city politician or new to your role in council, when you embarked on your journey of civic engagement, what were you hoping that you would achieve? What was your desired outcome? I'm sure that whatever it was then, or whatever it is now, somewhere in there you're hoping that your involvement in council will make a difference for our city. My personal and professional mission is all about creating radical, positive, lasting change. To that end, I would like to share with you 4 C's for success: community, civility, collaboration, and compassion. The first C is for community. I moved to the city of St. Catharines in 1998 from the city of Ottawa, and upon arriving here, I knew no one outside of my husband's family. I had to build a new community from scratch. And over the years of meeting people from all walks of life in business, in faith communities, and in the not-for-profit sector, I found my tribe. This community is one that is rich in historical significance, diversity, and innovation. It's a community that is quick to give back and to contribute to worthy causes, such as our women's shelters, our local health system, homelessness initiatives like Out of the Cold, and youth-oriented programs like the Boys and Girls Club or Big Brothers and Big Sisters. It's a community that comes together to stand against senseless acts of violence and vandalism against our faith communities, our schools, and our historical monuments. This community is, in its entirety, from the wealthiest among us to the most vulnerable. It is deserving of a council that works together for its betterment, and one that demonstrates that even though we may disagree on how things should get done, the final objective is to serve this city to the best of its ability. Community is the reason why we are here. Community is at the heart of what you have been mandated to do. Community must always be the focus of all that you do. That brings me to the second C, civility. I don't know about you, but sometimes it seems like 2 years of social isolation due to COVID has caused humanity to lose its manners. Without civility, community will eventually disintegrate into chaos and anarchy. To me, civility contributes to success because every problem at its heart is a relationship problem. And the number one reason for relationship failures is poor communication. There were many catchphrases that became popular over the COVID-19 crisis, and one such meme admonished that we are not actually all in the same boat. We're in the same storm. Some have yachts, some have canoes, but some are drowning. What matters is to be kind and to help whoever you can. The example set in council has ripple effects throughout our community. So I urge you to carefully consider the legacy you wish to leave, the impression you wish to make, and the impact you wish to have in your time representing and working on behalf of this city. The truth is that a little bit of kindness goes a long way. Remember the words of the ancient philosophers: before you speak, let your words pass through 3 gates. Is it true? Is it necessary or useful? And is it kind? The third C stands for collaboration. The action of working with someone to produce or create something, cooperation, partnership, association, teamwork, joint effort, alliance. Collaboration requires relationship. Relationship requires communication. Communication works best when it's civil. Do you see where I'm going with this? Seriously, Think of what can be done, what has been done, when this community comes together in the spirit of collaboration. Think of the funds that have been raised for worthy causes. Think of the most vulnerable in our city who have been fed, given shelter, provided with warm clothing through bitter winters because of the collaborative efforts of various organizations. Think of the innovations that have been implemented in terms of housing, land reassignment and redevelopment, social initiatives, and more, because people put their heads together and worked together to create solutions for our city's problems. Think of all that could be accomplished if you make a commitment to set ego and personal agendas aside for the sake of the greater good. Think of the positive change that could be effected if everyone invited to the table was given a voice and that those voices were heard. It sounds a bit utopian, doesn't it? But here's the thing. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I have seen how this city has evolved in the 23 years that I've called it home. I'm excited to see how much further we can go. Let's go together. Finally, the last C, compassion. Compassion means to feel with or to suffer with. The opposite of compassion is cruelty. The Dalai Lama said that the compassion is the wish to see others free from suffering. Now, in my role as a psychotherapist, I see my practice as a microcosm of this community. I see parents, grandparents, teachers, students, lawyers, healthcare professionals, newcomers to this country, those who have been here for generations, law enforcement, first responders, those accused of crimes, and victims of crime. I see people who are nothing like me, who don't share my values or my beliefs, who don't understand my lived experience, yet it is my job to understand theirs and to come alongside them in their time of need, to serve them with compassion. There are others who choose me because they look like me, because they have a similar lived experience, or they believe that because I'm a woman or a person of color, that I might understand them better. But here's the thing. I don't need to be like you to have compassion for you. You don't need to feel a kinship for me to have compassion for me. Our shared humanity is enough. Our shared humanity is enough. The responsibility of representing the citizens of this city is one that I'm certain that you don't take lightly. In your effort to manage the business affairs of the city of St. Catharines, as well as to bring forward initiatives that will benefit the citizenry, there will be moments when you wholeheartedly disagree with one another. And there will be other times when agreement comes easily. I encourage you to consider these 4 C's for success as you embark on this journey of governance and service. Remember that this community is at the heart of your role in council. Civility is the key to maintaining healthy relationships as you serve. Collaboration is the way to get things done and to go further together. Let compassion be your touchstone. Remember, we don't have to like each other. We don't have to be like each other. We can choose compassion over cruelty. Our shared humanity is enough. Thank you.
Good evening. On behalf of your city council and your new mayor, I'd like to thank the presenters tonight. But before I do that, I'd like to thank you for being here. Without you, we wouldn't be here. Your support is greatly appreciated by all of us. The campaign was arduous. We worked very hard to get to be able to sit on this stage, but we wouldn't be able to do it without you. So on behalf of council, thank you very much. And those people watching at home, same goes for you. Also, we've come through a very difficult term and led by Mayor Siscoe and many people on our our council, COVID was a very, very difficult time for us. And without a great staff who are sitting in front of me right now, we wouldn't be where we are today. So on behalf of the council that you have in front of you right now, staff, thank you very much for everything you've done. We wouldn't be nearly as successful. First of all, thank you to Julie for her very inspiring presentation about community. In my mind, she set a roadmap for the next 4 years of what we should be doing. There wasn't any policy, there wasn't any laws, there was just values that we all have to incorporate in the decisions that we make. So, Julie, it was a great presentation to us and a great way for us to start our year. Also, thank you to the Niagara Regional Native Centre, the drumming group, and the Strongwater Singers. Again, our former council laid a roadmap to partner with our Indigenous community, and this council, I'm sure, will continue that. And we look forward to hearing from them many more times in the next 4 years as we celebrate through the Celebration of Nations. Music, culture, and traditions provide us with opportunities to build those relationships and understand, have an understanding between our two communities. To Nicolette, the way you sang that made us proud to be Canadians tonight. And we have, in my mind, the best country in the world, and we should be proud of that every day and not forget that. To Matthew, our young man who brought us in, Caleb, on our way in, said, "Is this tradition? Why do we come in with a piper?" And I said, "I don't know, but in the old time, they used to lead us into war. I don't know if that has anything to do with what we're doing tonight, but hopefully that's not going to be the case." This ceremony has been a blending of many traditions, reflecting diversity and inclusivity in our community, and that will be maintained. As your new council, we look forward to leading our city for the next 4 years into the future. As I said, it's been really tough being a councillor in the last 4 years, getting through what we had to get through with COVID. And now hopefully that's on its way out, and we're looking forward to 4 years of prosperity. Now is the time to welcome our mayor back. I've had the fortune to be able to be on council with Matt for the last 12 years. I've sat beside him for the last 8. I've been on budget committee with him, and he's a tremendous budget chair. He knows the budget almost as well as Christine, but not quite. I've talked with our councillors, many councillors, and so far, Matt, we're very pleased and impressed with what we see so far. You just have to keep going for the next 4 years. So at this point, I'd like to ask Mayor Siscoe, it's going to take a while to get used to say that, to come back and give us his closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Phillips. This concludes our inaugural meeting. I want to thank the staff that organized tonight's meeting, all the staff from the FirstOntario Performing Arts Centre, the clerk's department, the mayor's office, some of my favorite people in the world right now, for keeping me on the straight and narrow. But on behalf of City Council, I'd like to thank all of you for attending this evening, and for all those watching at home for tuning in to tonight's inauguration. We have a lot of work to do, but I think we all look forward to working with all of you as we continue to grow our city and build our community. You're invited to join the councillors and I for a reception in the lobby following the closing of the meeting, and we will follow the piper out. I'm just going to give a little plug here because I'm kind of proud of this. Both the anthem singer tonight and the piper happen to be former students of mine. So I feel a little bit like Councillor Phillips, in having lots of really wonderful people come through their classroom, or Councillor Kushner, who I would wager had probably taught 75% of the people in this hall. So with that, I will now do what I love to do the most. And I'm going to ask for a motion of council to adjourn the inaugural meeting of the 2022 to 2026 Council for the City of St. Catharines. And I will see Councillor Williamson and seconded by Councillor Phillips. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried.